The wind howls across the Levant, a phantom choir singing the dirge of fallen empires. It carries the scent of sun-baked limestone, ancient bitumen, and the lingering salt of 1,000 years.
To look upon the ruins of the biblical world is to witness a conversation between the eternal and the ephemeral. When the scriptures speak of divine wrath, they do not speak in metaphors of ink, but in the physical shattering of stone and the silencing of great throngs. Here are the 6 cities that felt the weight of the heavens and the haunting beauty of what remains of them today.
The ash of sin. The Jordan Rift Valley is a scar upon the earth, a deep depression where the air hangs heavy and thick. In the Bronze Age, this was the Garden of the Lord, a lush, well-watered plain where the twin cities of Sodom and Gomorrah sat like jewels in a crown of green.
The destruction. Imagine a sky that turns the color of a bruised plum before rupturing. It was not mere fire, but a rain of brimstone, a celestial bombardment of white-hot sulfur. The air ignited. The very soil, rich in bitumen and oil, turned into a furnace. In a single morning, the laughter of the marketplaces was replaced by the roar of a thermal blast that calcified everything in its path. Today, travelers who venture to the site of Tel El Hammam encounter a landscape that looks like the surface of the moon. The ground is peppered with spherical white sulfur balls, 98% pure, that can still be lit with a flame. The salt pillars rise from the jagged coastline of the Dead Sea, eerie anthropomorphic shapes of crystalline brine that stand as silent sentinels. To stand there is to feel a profound stillness, a place where the earth itself seems to hold its breath, hushed by a heat that hasn't fully dissipated in 4 millennia. The ghost of the plain. Where Sodom was the seat of power, Gomorrah was its reflection, a city of high walls and deep wells. Its fate was inextricably linked to its neighbor, a shared destiny written in the falling fire. The destruction. The biblical narrative describes the smoke of the country rising like the smoke of a furnace. Archaeological layers reveal a unique phenomenon: melted pottery and mud bricks turned to glass, evidence of a high-temperature event that transcended a normal city fire. The city didn't just burn, it evaporated into the geological record. Today, the ruins of what many believe to be Gomorrah sit near the Dead Sea's southern basin. Looking at it from a drone's perspective, the outlines of ancient fortifications are visible only as shades of gray against the tan desert. There is a haunting symmetry to the erosion. The mounds of ash look like the melted wax of a giant's candle. It is a kingdom of dust, where the only movement is the shimmering heat haze dancing over the salty crust. Third, the walls that fell outward. Jericho is a city of springs, an emerald oasis in the shadow of the Judean wilderness. It is one of the oldest inhabited places on earth, but its most famous chapter involves a conquest led not by siege engines, but by a sound. The destruction. The scene is cinematic. 7 days of silent marching, the rhythmic thud of thousands of feet, and the haunting drone of the shofar. On the 7th day, a collective shout tore through the air. The Bible claims the walls fell down flat. Excavations at Tel Es Sultan reveal something miraculous to archaeologists. The massive mud brick walls did not fall inward as they would in a standard siege. They collapsed outward, creating a ramp for the invaders to climb. Today, modern Jericho is a bustling Palestinian city of palm trees and vibrant markets, but the Tel, the ancient mound, remains a scarred monument to the past. Visitors walk past deep archaeological trenches where the red mud bricks of the collapsed walls are still visible, layered like the rings of a tree. The spring of Elisha still gushes nearby, a cold, clear reminder that while the walls of man are temporary, the waters of the earth endure. IV.
Nineveh, the lion's den. Once the largest city in the world, Nineveh was the glittering capital of the Assyrian Empire. It was a place of terrifying power, lined with bas-reliefs of lions and winged bulls, its walls stretching for miles.
The prophet Nahum predicted it would be laid waste and become a desolation, the destruction. In 612 BC, the divine judgment arrived in the form of a coalition of Medes and Babylonians. But nature played its part. A sudden, catastrophic flood of the coast river breached the city gates. The bloody city was put to the sword.
The fire was so intense that it baked the clay tablets of the royal library, ironically preserving the history of the people it destroyed. Today, the ruins of Nineveh sit on the outskirts of modern-day Mosul, Iraq.
The Great Nergal Gate, once flanked by colossal stone guardians, stands as a reconstructed ghost. In the wake of recent conflicts, the ruins are scarred by modern war, adding layers of tragedy to the ancient dust.
The mound of Kuyanjik rises over the Tigris, a hummock of earth hiding the palaces of Sennacherib, where the stone eyes of broken statues still stare into the sun.
Babylon, the golden cup shattered. Babylon was the Rome of the ancient Near East, a city of blue-glazed bricks, hanging gardens, and the towering Etemenanki ziggurat. It was the hammer of the whole earth, but the prophets Jeremiah and Isaiah foretold that it would become a heap of ruins, a haunt for jackals.
The ruins are not just piles of stone. They are the physical remains of a voice that spoke in thunder, leaving behind a silence that still speaks to those who stop to listen. The desert hasn't just buried these cities, it has preserved their warning, etched in the very chemistry of the earth. The destruction. The fall of Babylon was more of a slow, divine strangulation than a sudden strike. After Cyrus the Great diverted the Euphrates to enter the city, its prestige withered. God's judgment was a decree of obsolescence. The canals choked with silt, the bricks were scavenged, and the desert reclaimed the streets where kings once rode in gold chariots. Today, under the harsh Iraqi sun, Babylon is a labyrinth of yellow brick. Saddam Hussein attempted a garish reconstruction, but the Lion of Babylon statue, a weathered basalt beast, remains the true soul of the site. The Ishtar Gate's original site is a hollowed-out canyon of dust, while the wind whistles through the reeds of the Euphrates, just as the prophets promised. It is a place of profound melancholy, a reminder that no empire is too big to be forgotten. Tyre, the rock scraped bare. Tyre was the queen of the seas, a Phoenician island fortress of unparalleled wealth. Its merchants were princes, and its ships traded in purple dye and cedar. Because of its pride, Ezekiel prophesied that God would make her a bare rock and a place for the spreading of fishnets. The destruction. The judgment came in waves, culminating in the arrival of Alexander the Great. When the Tyrians retreated to their island fortress, Alexander did the unthinkable. He scraped the ruins of the old mainland city into the sea to build a causeway to the island. Today, Tyre is a beautiful, sun-drenched coastal city in Lebanon, but the ancient island is now a peninsula, forever joined to the shore by Alexander's mole. At the edge of the Mediterranean, among the Roman columns and Byzantine mosaics, you can still see local fishermen laying out their nylon nets to dry on the flat, sun-bleached stones. The prophecy of Ezekiel has become a daily chore. From the sulfur-choked plains of Sodom to the sea-sprayed rocks of Tyre, the story is the same, the intersection of human ambition and divine boundary. Today, as tourists point their cameras at the crumbling mud bricks and the salt-encrusted shores, there is a lingering sense of awe.